The quickest way to become a better putter is by designing an effective practice routine. It's a repetition of these various putts over and over again that's going to show improvement in your overall skill. It's very common that most practice takes place on the course, but I want to show you how to efficiently practice around the putting basket to help you dial in the optimum practice session for your development as a player. I'm not going to reiterate putting technique or how to fix your putt, but rather show you the methods of proper training to build confidence and refine your abilities. Whether you're a top-level tournament player or a casual player just looking to lower your scores, I want to give you some tips that are going to guide your progress along the way. Putting is definitely the most difficult part of the game, but it's also the most effective way of lowering your scores. More than any other element of the game, putting requires a solid mental game that can be finely tuned through focus and dedicated practice. Confidence, full commitment, and final execution are the keys to becoming an excellent putter. It's the most important component of disc golf, and practicing putting will only make you a better overall player. I highly recommend that you practice putting on a daily basis if you want to see noticeable improvements in your form and consistency. The time that you're able to designate to putting practice will absolutely pay off on the disc golf course. Use at least 5 putters of the same mold, weight, and condition as you're trying to establish consistency. You want to try to keep everything the same at all times, and that's really difficult to do if you're putting with different putters. You should only have one putter in your hand at a time, placing the remaining putters on the ground. You don't have other discs in your offhand while playing around. Why would you do it while practicing? Practice putting with one disc at a time will help you recreate real game time scenarios. Be sure to establish a putting routine that you can replicate over and over again to help settle the mind and prepare the body to perform a smooth putting motion. Lock down your form, go through your routine, and concentrate the same way that you would during a round. Set up putting stations, from short to long, at various locations on the putting green, where you're able to really dial in your putts. Don't move further out until you're ready to make them at a high percentage. I suggest when practice putting that you keep close to the basket, practicing 10, 15, even 20 footers, as you progressively working your way to a comfortable distance from the basket. You want to putt from a confident range, where you're making at least 80% of the putts, while still challenging yourself to strive for more. Now, if you're missing more than 20% of your putts, you need to scoot up. Practice putting is all about building your confidence. You want to make everything inside the 10-meter circle as you strive to be consistent, perfect, and even automatic at times. You're going to see these shorter putts more often than any other putt, and you should never take these for granted. Making these shorter putts on a consistent basis will help you win almost any tournament out there. I've personally talked myself into making some of the biggest putts of my career, and possibly putts that I would have missed if I didn't fully commit and execute. If at any time you feel like you're going to miss a putt, or you're thinking negative thoughts, step away from your lie, regather yourself, and talk yourself through the proper steps of making that putt. Practice all possible putting scenarios, from headwind to tailwind to crosswind, uphill to downhill to crosshill, in linear stance and in straddle stance. These are all the possible putting situations that you might find on the disc golf course. You don't want to label yourself as a one-dimensional putter. It's like everything else during practice sessions. Always practice your weaknesses. No putting technique is the absolute best, as many have their own advantages. But if you practice a certain form long enough, you become really good at it. Make sure to stick with the putting style that produces the most consistent, successful results. Incorporating the play of putting games is also a great way to test your skills as well as your nerves, to recreate that game time pressure that you will encounter during a round of disc golf. It's great to make a game out of a practice session that still allows you to remain competitive against other players. There are literally dozens of disc golf putting games out there for you to choose from, but always remember to challenge yourself. And most importantly, whatever putting game that you come up with, always make your practice putting sessions fun. I recommend that you don't putt more than 30 minutes a day to remain in dedicated focus. And to be honest, putting can be boring and repetitive. And if you're putting for more than 30 minutes, you're just tossing a disc at the basket, which leads to bad putting habits and poor execution on the course. So remain focused for those 30-minute practice sessions. Tip number 1, practice daily. Putting on a daily basis will produce noticeable improvements in your form and consistency. Tip number 2, confidence is everything. Confidence, full commitment, and final execution are the keys to becoming an excellent putter. Tip number 3, play putting games. Putting games are a great way to test your skills as well as your nerves to recreate those game time situations. I really hope you're able to implement some of these practice routines into your disc golf trainings, as it's a process of development to solidify these methods. I wish you all the best with your practice and training, and remember, practice doesn't make perfect, practice makes permanent. Now get out there and practice putting.